Right, so for the second vid I want to concentrate on the primary side of the engine, which is the be putting the sprocket on, new chain, and obviously the clutch. And then there's the gear shift and kickstart mechanism. We'll have a closer look at that in a minute. Now you can see I've put the seals in, the crank seals, and I've got an old one here. I just want you to see how thin they are, the section. You can just see how thin they are, about 7mm. So in order to get these seals in, you do need a tool, and I've got one here. Now I made this a while ago when I had access to a lathe, and all it does, straight over the crank, as you can see, and it helps you to just drive the seal in square without distorting it. Alright, so what I want to do now is look at this gear shift and kickstart mechanism. Now there's a lot of who's watching this video now all know how these work exactly, but this is for those that don't. And the other thing is, a friend of mine in Buffalo, he's just built a CZ not so long ago, and he was intrigued with this combination of kickstart gear shift. So this is for you, Don. Right, so here's the 4 components then that's needed for this gear change kickstart assembly. You've got the quadrant there for the kickstart, and there's the return spring, and then this spring here helps disengage from kickstart back to gear change, and it goes over there. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to assemble it and put it in place, and hopefully be able to see how it goes in. And then right, so the best way I find then to assemble the gear change kickstart system is to first of all get the kickstart quadrants and the return spring. Now in the spring you'll just see a loop there, so if you just put this quadrant in there like so and bring it into that loop, and then the straight edge on the spring there needs to go at the back of the casing, and all you need to do is just twist it in position like so. That's it. Now it is quite a strong spring, but just going quite easily. And then on the shaft here you've got another spring, just goes on the end there. Now that releases from kickstart back to gear change. So if we just put this in here, now first of all we need to locate it in the gear change position. So just find that's it, and then once you've done that, just twist it to the right into the kickstart, and that'll lock it in place. Now we can assemble the clutch now, the primary and the sprocket. Right, so prior to assembling the clutch then, first thing to do is just get some white spirits on the rag and clean the tapered shaft where the primary sprocket has to go, and also I've cleaned the primary sprocket as well on the inside. That's just to remove all residue oil. Right. And then after that, what we can do is get the thrust washer or spacer there for the clutch, and put the spacer on. And what I've done, I've assembled the chain onto the clutch basket and primary sprocket, and that can go straight on there. Should just drop down. That's it. Right, so the next thing to do then is get the nut on. Yeah. We can tighten this up and assemble the clutch. Right, back over to the bench, and as you can see we've got the clutch here itself, made up of the friction plates, plane plates, the pressure at the top. We've got the 3 springs and the retainers, and the other thing is that's got to go in is the clutch push rod itself. There's the nut and lock washer, and to do that nut up we're going to need this tool. Nothing special, it's just an old plain clutch plate, bit of angle iron, flat steel, and that's about all it is really, but it really does do the job well. So we'll fit this assembly now, and then we can fit the cover. Right, so the next thing to do then on this, as you can see, we've got the clutch basket on, new primary shine, and the primary sprocket, which actually is driven from a taper. So once that's tightened up, this nut here, it locks on really tight. In fact, they're that good, they're sometimes really hard to get off. Right, so the first thing we've got to do now then is put the centre, the clutch centre. Now the centre actually drives the gearbox, so you can just see, you might be able to anyway, some splines in the middle of this, and that goes on the spline shaft in the centre. So that actually turns the gearbox, where the outer clutch basket actually turns the engine. Well, once the engine's running, it turns the clutch. So there's plates to go on top of this. So this is like a plain plate as well. There. So on top of that, what we'd do is put a friction plate, and then a plain one like so. But before we do that, what we need to do is put the nut and lock washer in the centre. So lock washer on first, make sure it's located in them 3 splines there. Right, and then the nut. Now we can take this nut down so far, but then we're going to need that tool to tighten it up. So if I just wind it in as far as I can by hand. Right, so if I didn't have this tool, you could see it's spinning, there's no way of tightening that up. So we'll just get that tool, and it just goes over there, and then it just enables us to just tighten it up, like so. So the next thing then is putting this lock washer over there, and we can start putting the plates in. And the other thing is clutch push rod as well. Right, so I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this, but I've put the clutch spring compressor tool on there, so I'm ready to put these 3 springs in. And so the first thing I'm going to do is make sure the hole in this pin is lined up and the actual tool lines up. So first of all I'll put a spring in, and then I'll put the washer on, and then what I've got to do is just bring the tool down and start compressing. I may have to line it up, just turn it a little bit. Yeah, that's okay. So I'll bring it all the way down now to compress it. Now that's locked in place, and I can just put the pin in now freely. I mean, I used to be able to do these by hand, but I think I'm getting a bit old for it now. But it does make the job easier. So that one's in now, and it's just a case of turning the clutch round to the next one, like so, and then just put the spring on, washer, bring the tool down, make sure the hole's lined up, lock it on, then put the retaining pin in, and just release the pressure. It really does make life easier. So we'll just go on to the last one there. Just turn it, line it up, just get the other spring, final spring. So as you can see, it does make the job easier. So what I normally use then on the primary case here is this blue Hylamar. Now it's different from the crankcase. The crankcase is a silicone adhesive, because there's no gasket basically on the crankcase arms. But this blue Hylamar, I find it sticks better to paper gaskets. So I'll just put this around, and then we'll put the gasketing cover on, and then Hylamar then on top of the gasket as well. And you can finally put the cover on. Right, so we're going to leave it there now for this vid, and in the final vid, the next one, we're going to put the pistons, cylinders, heads and the alternator, and the small ends. Again, I'm going to use the loose rollers, the original, because they're absolutely brilliant condition. So I always put them back, the loose ones, if they're in good condition. Right, so I'll leave it there anyway, and I'll catch you in the next vid.